So our next student speaker is Arunabh Sinha. Arunabh Sinha is graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Public Affairs with a major in Policy Analysis and a minor in Chemistry. During his time at the O'Neill School, Arunabh has been heavily involved with the Civic Leaders Center as a student and mentor, as well as the O'Neill Career Hub, where he served as a career peer educator. He also has served as a teaching and research assistant for Professor Kosali Simon's Health Economics course. Arunabh's interest in learning about comparative healthcare systems and cultural differences in people led him to study abroad through the O'Neill International programs in Madrid, Spain. And prior to this, Arunabh spent a summer writing a world history textbook for Sertel, an educational nonprofit, and another summer as a business analyst for Chartis, a healthcare consulting firm. His involvement on campus as the American Enterprise Institute president brought many policy scholars from DC to spark dialogue on campus, and his congressional internship with Senator Todd Young allowed him to remain civically engaged. Arunabh is most proud of his research assistant role in the clinical psychology lab of Dr. Michelle Miller, where they investigated different forms of therapy for pregnant women with PTSD. I'm happy to share that Arunabh found out just today that he'll be joining the IU School of Medicine at the South Bend campus after graduation, where So he's joining the IU School of Medicine, where he will train to achieve his dream of being a physician. So please join me in welcoming Arunabh to the stage.
Thank you, Dean Mooney, and good evening, esteemed alumni, faculty, staff, family, friends, and O'Neill graduating class of 2023. We made it. Today's occasion allows us to celebrate our past few years of hard work, dedication, passion, and commitment. In these emotional last few days, we find ourselves reflecting on our education, on public and environmental affairs, and look forward to how we can carry out the goals of our education. In a way, you could say we're done with the agenda-setting narrative of our life, and we're ready to move on to implementation. That was for you, Professor Graham. And so corny policy references aside, I want to take some time to both reflect and look forward. Specifically, I'd like to share some of this great work I've seen from my peers, share what I've learned from them, and how we can apply lessons from this school going forward. To begin, I believe every O'Neill student graduates holding three main values. We are mission-focused, empathetic, and endlessly passionate. I like to think there's a benefit to being in Indiana. We adopt some of the humble Midwestern ethos that surrounds us with these values. So today, I'm going to share stories of my peers to show how true to these tenets we are. Let's start off with Kyle. Kyle is often spotted advocating for students in front of administrators on campus. From expanding reproductive resources available to all students to raising awareness for our climate action plan, Kyle will make the greater voice heard. Meanwhile, Luke can be seen around campus, rallying support for equity, for taking care of our community. As an advocate for the unhoused, for better sustainable energy, and for workers' rights, Luke realizes his power as a leader to advocate for the welfare of others. Both Kyle and Luke also show empathy. Empathy requires people to zoom out from the self and start to think about the community around you. It means speaking up for those who are too burdened to speak up for themselves. In class, I saw Cole rigorously reviewing federal housing projects to find a way to support people who are unhoused. This is not a problem Cole faces, but it is a problem Cole is willing to tackle because he saw an issue in our community. I also saw Sol addressing how the Social Security program can regain financial footing and continue to support our elderly population. This issue will not affect Sol for many decades, but she stepped out of her young bubble to invest her energy on this project. Passion, meanwhile, is showcased by my peers who find a problem and devote loads of their time addressing it. Passion can be shown in many ways. For example, Eva can be found reading about the environmental impact of electric cars and working with a DC lobbyist on memos to reach a zero-emission state. Dorothy will dive into the fields that grow our food to understand how she can influence agriculture and nutrition policy. Ultimately, what Eva and Dorothy both realize is that passion is not something they seek to find, but rather something revealed within themselves. All of these examples involve some of the public problems we face today, and as O'Neill graduates, we've been blessed with the responsibility to make an impact. We are acutely aware of the public problems we can tackle, from sustainable energy needs to repairing the social fabric. It may not be as easy as the great philosopher Pitbull puts it, when he says he takes all the negatives in his life and turns them into a positive, but we hold the persistence to pursue these challenges nevertheless. But it's not just the problems we face that we need to tackle. As bright young minds with vitality and zest, we also need to continue the integral positive work our communities are built upon. For example, you can find many of our graduates operating successful operas, symphonies, clinics, city governments, nonprofits, and so much more. The work of staffers, innovators, and executives in these institutions are crucial to a strong society, and we must not lose sight of the great amount of good that we can do. And we're not limited to these roles. As a future physician, I realize my interactions with patients will go far beyond using scientific knowledge to prescribe them a therapy. Medical providers need to consider the sociocultural factors of their patients and understand treatments are different for every person. For instance, studying the policy changes of Medicaid may influence me to prescribe one form of insulin over another. Shout out to my mom. These examples go beyond medicine. Environmental scientists need to be aware of the policy issues of our time to best make an impact. Artists can consider using their voice for socially conscious messages, such as was the case with the recent world premiere at IU of the opera based on the diary of Anne Frank. Policy permeates throughout fields. It impacts everyone. I'd like to make one last request. As a veteran of our Career Hub, I've been blessed with the opportunity to help prepare many of our graduates for the next steps. Having seen the breadth of stories and experiences of our students, I'm so confident we will meet the challenges we must face. And so to the graduate schools to which our students are matriculating, and to the public organizations, public offices, nonprofit organizations, hospitals, arts institutions, and corporations our graduates will be working at, I ask one thing. I ask that you embrace our graduates with warmth and inspiration, and that you challenge us to be our best. Because when we are stimulated, we will impress you with our passion, our empathy, and our drive. We will work with you to make the change you seek to make. And to quote Isaiah Thomas, we will stand up, show out, be here every single day. Dean Mooney, I present to you the O'Neill School Class of 2023.
Very inspiring, both of our speakers. Thank you so much, Arunabh and Ariel, for speaking on behalf of your fellow graduates. What very impressive ambassadors for the class of 2023.